All right. So, why have we been balancing equations? Well, some of you think it's fun. Some of you think it's horrible. Why are we balancing equations? Because it is the most practical thing that we can do if you ever have to deal with anything in the chemical industry. Okay? So let me explain to you why balance equations are so important by helping you understand something that you should already have a pretty good grasp on. How do you bake a cake? Eggs? How many eggs? Like two, maybe three? Oil? How much oil? Like half a cup? You've got this all in your mind, Maya? Oh, okay. All right. So at some point before now she's got it all in her mind, but at some point she probably had to read it from some kind of recipe, right? And Maya, can you tell us what would happen if you were to not follow the recipe very well? What if you were to forget something? The cake would not turn out. How do we bake a cake? We bake it by making sure we have what? The right ingredients, right? We follow a recipe. You do realize that by Maya baking a cake, she is acting the part of a chemist. She is a chemist. Whenever we bake, whenever we cook, we are using chemistry. Actually, I had a student once whose dad was a food chemist. He would work for, I think he had worked for Captain D's, for Wendy's, for a lot of these fast food restaurants and some of the fancier restaurants. Now he was a freelance worker. So he would create meals and then he would try to sell them to these restaurants. That was his job. Can you imagine that being your job to make a new style of burger and then offering it to Wendy's, and Wendy's pays you for the rights to use that meal? I mean, you go to Cheddar's. Have you had the Monte Cristo? Oh my gosh, the Monte Cristo is fantastic. A food chemist came up with that and sold it to Cheddar's. Sometimes restaurants that are big chains may actually employ food chemists. So a food chemist is messing around with food all day long, trying to find different recipes to make things just right, and then selling his or her idea. Okay. This guy actually came over to my class one time and he brought pots and pans and he cooked for our class. And what's really cool is everything he did, he explained the chemistry behind it, even down to what he made the best pork chops I've ever had in my life. He made it with orange juice and with lemon. I remember the lemon shavings because he took a lemon. He didn't actually use the lemon. He took the lemon and he cut the zest. Yes, he cut some pieces off the covering, and it landed the on the pork chop. That is the best pork chop I've ever had. But I don't remember. It's been like 15 years, and I don't remember exactly what it was. It had something to do with bases, acids and bases, and that zest was doing that for it. Okay, so what happens if you make this fantastic meal and you record the recipe and you forget the zest? Well, whenever the restaurants start making it, you may think, oh, this doesn't taste that good. He's going, of course it tastes good. Oh, wait, I think I may have forgotten an ingredient. So what happens if you use too much of an ingredient? What happens if you make too many if you use too many eggs, Maya, on your cake? Too Yeah, it's going to be too watery. What happens if you don't have enough eggs in your cake? It'll be like pancakes, right? It'll be flat and not fluffy at all. It will be too dry. So in order to make a perfect cake, You must do what? You must follow the recipe. All right, so here is a typical chemical reaction that you may be familiar with. You ready? Making a bologna sandwich. I'm going to stop. Making a bologna sandwich. I don't like bologna sandwiches. Can I have it? No, I have handled this several times. We've already used this for several. So, what is a bologna sandwich? A bologna sandwich is made up of. No, no. A bologna sandwich is made up of one bologna and two breads. No, I prefer no. So what? The hood struggle meal. Okay. Mexicans don't like bologna sandwiches. So I'm going to move over to Mr. Van. All right. We all agree. Yes. We all agree this is a bologna sandwich, right? Smacking sandwich. 2 bread, 1 bologna. Okay, so what if you have here, hold that. What if you have 1 bologna, 1 bread? How many sandwiches can you make? No, you got the popo come and arrest you. Yes, they do. This is against the law to turn it into a taco. It is against the law to turn it into a taco. The SWAT team will get called in, and you will be taken to prison if you turn it into a taco. No. You know what a bologna sandwich consists of. 2 bread, 1 bologna. What if you only have 1 bread and 1 bologna? It's not a sandwich. Okay. Can't make. Nope. Can't. It's against the law. Can't make lemonade without lemon. How many sandwiches can you make? None. None. You have enough bologna to make a sandwich, but why can't you? You don't have enough bread. You don't have enough bread. All right. What if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 breads? Oh, throw this one back. 4 breads and how many bolognas? 1 bologna. Okay, so we didn't have enough bread now. How about that? We have enough bread, right? How many bologna sandwiches can we make now? 1. Okay, we have enough bread to make 2 no taco bologna sandwiches. They're against the law. But what do we not? How many bolognas do we have? 1. And this, of course, is going to make it so that we can only make 1 bologna sandwich. Okay, so let's go back here. Well, I'm not even Mexican. How can I have the coronavirus? You can't have corona without a line. All right, so what? I know. I was trying to be funny. But the fact is that comedians and people in the media have had a lot of fun with this. There are a large portion of the American public, hopefully they're not Oak Ridge High School grads, who believe that the coronavirus has something to do with the coronavirus. There's people in spitting on. I've got a question for you. I have a sandwich and 2 breads. Why is it we can't make any more? Why is it we can't make any more sandwiches? We don't have enough bologna. So what is limiting how many sandwiches we can make? The bologna. Number 6. What is limiting how many sandwiches you can make? The bologna. Okay. Bologna? Because it's French and the French don't like using a like The French love letters. They don't like pronouncing all the letters. All right. So let me give you a vocab phrase that you will need to learn by Friday. The reaction that limits the reaction is going to be called, wait for it, the limiting reaction. The limiting reaction. So, limiting reactant is the ingredient that runs out first. It limits the reaction. It limits the reaction. So, let's see if you were listening. What is the limiting reaction? Wow. Okay. Let me rephrase it. What do we call the reactions that limit the reaction? Okay, you may think that's an easy question. It took me Austin. How many people did it take me last period to get them to say limiting reaction? How many people did I have to ask? It was 4 or 5. That tells me one very important thing. They're not listening to me. You guys are not listening to me. All right, next question. How about this one? 6 bread. 1, 2, 3, 4. You insist on breaking the law, don't you? 5, 6.
That's so much. No, pound the bread.
1, 2. Listen. You can listen to it flat. 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh gosh, I got bologna slime. 6 bologna, 6 bread. How many sandwiches? Don't break the law. 3. Let's see. Give me 2 pieces of bread.
This is a Subway.
Here's one sandwich. Two sandwiches. Three sandwiches. And look, I have bologna left over. So who ran out first? The bologna or the bread? So who is your limiting reactant? The bread.
It was a joke.
How many sandwiches can you make? 3. Well, who is your limited reactant? All right, how about this one? 8 bread. Let's take this apart. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. There's absolutely no reason for me to ask Uni. There's no good reason for me to ask Uni to hold the bologna for me. I just wanted to gross her out. Let's see how many sandwiches we can make. Ready? 8 spreads, 4 bologna. One sandwich. 2 sandwiches. 3 sandwiches. 4 sandwiches. And what's left over? Nothing. Who is your limited reactant? None.
Dude.
I have been touching these all day long.
I mean, I touched you.
All right, so
You only live once.
let's change gears. Look at this recipe. 2 hydrogen molecules plus 1 oxygen molecule makes 2 water molecules. Okay, how is this different from 2 bread plus 1 bologna makes 1 bologna sandwich? It's not. It is still a recipe. It is a recipe. Okay? 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen makes 2 sandwiches. How many waters will you make if you had 4 hydrogens and 1 oxygen? 4 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. You can make only 1 because like these sandwiches, that would be how many sandwiches can we make if we have 4 hydrogens, right? The bread, 4 hydrogens, and 1 bologna. So how many? The fact that it's 2, no. That's an oxygen. Okay. No. What? Last unit?
Yeah, like when we learned how like.
No. Okay. We have no. We have to balance. We have to balance in order to create the recipe. No. If you don't, if it's not balanced, if those numbers are not, if those big numbers are not there, then it's not balanced. And if it's not balanced, then it's not a recipe. So, yes, there are 4 hydrogens on the left and 4 on the right. How many oxygens on the left? 2. And then 2 times 1 is 2 oxygens. So that is balanced. The recipe, the balance equation tells us the recipe. Okay? That's it. That's it. So, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen makes 1 water molecule. The problem is we have enough hydrogen to make another, but we don't have enough oxygen. Who is your limiting reactant? Oxygen ran out. Oxygen ran out. So that is your limiting reactant. All right. How about this one? What if you have 2 hydrogens and 2 oxygens? How many can you make? I hear 2. I hear 1. 2, 1. Okay, so let's prove it. I have 2 hydrogens, 2 bread. I have 2 bolognas, which is the oxygen. How many sandwiches can you make? 1. Who ran out? The oxygen's right here. Who ran out? The hydrogen. The bread. The hydrogen ran out.
I never knew how Bologna was spelled. Me too. I thought it was like Bologna.
Think of this as a hydrogen.
Bologna.
H2. I wish I could put H2 on it. Here.
Thank you.
Okay. I was going to put H2 on here. So this is H2. This is O2. This makes 1 cent.
Bulgarian. Dude, Judy, nobody wants to smell your bologna hands.
I know, I have bologna hands.
She keeps making you like trying to make me smell her hands.
All right, how about this one? 2 hydrogens, 6 oxygen. 2 hydrogens, 6 oxygen. I hear 1. I hear 2.
Only 2.
Okay. Once again, 2 pieces of bread. You've got 6 bolognas.
Oh, yeah.
How many sandwiches can you make? How many waters? Just 1. And what happens to the 5 bolognas? Well, they're just going to have to sit there because you ran out of bread. So, You're missing the hydrogen.
I want
Yes.
some bologna now.
How about this one? 6 hydrogens, 2 oxygen. 6, so I have 6 breads. I have 6 breads and 2 balloons.
No, man.
So who's gonna run out first? Here is the Bologna sandwich. Hold it for me.
Eat it.
And here is another sandwich. And I have 4 more breads to go. So who ran out? Okay, so oxygen. Okay. So in chemistry, with a balanced equation, you can determine how much of the reactants you need. You can determine how much of the products you're going to make. This is critical. Absolutely critical. Especially when you're talking about money. Now, for the moment, yes, I know we have a socialist presidential candidate. For the moment, we live in a capitalism. Anybody here work in a fast food restaurant? Okay, where was it again? Where do you work? Wendy's, great, great example. Your manager is in charge of ordering, right? Okay, so your manager, him or her? Him. When they order everything. They order buns, they order hamburger patties, they order cheese, they order lettuce, they order tomatoes. It's highly likely that he probably has some records from last year at this time. Because that everything goes in cycles. Winter time, maybe you might sell more than the summertime when people are out and making picnics. So he's probably going to want to go and study how much you guys sold last year, third week in February. So he's going to order based on that. So if they sold 5,000 burgers, then how many hamburger patties should he order? 5,000? You probably going to want to order a little bit more, especially in Wendy's where they advertise that they don't freeze their burgers. It's always fresh. Is that true? Yeah, they're always fresh. And that means they can go bad. So what will you do? Do you order exactly 5,000? Okay, if you're in a burger place, what's the one thing you don't want to run out of? Burgers. Okay, so maybe 6,000. But you want to make it so that, hey guys, no talk. You want to make it so that if there's something that runs out, you want it to be the bread, the cheese, or the meat. The bread, the cheese, and the meat. Considering that who of those 3 is the most expensive? A bun, a piece of cheese, or the meat? The meat. So if you want to let it go to waste, which one do you want to let it go to waste? The bread, the cheese, or the meat? Cheese, bread, okay? That's what they have to do in the real world. They will order in such a way that the most expensive ingredient is your limiting reactant. Once you run out, you run out. I'm sure that he may order Jacob. He may order 5,200, and if for some reason it looks like they're not going to make it, he may have an emergency order to get some more patties in. But one thing he does not want to do is he does not want to waste the most expensive ingredient. So in the real world, the limiting reactant will be the most expensive ingredient. And all the others that are less expensive, it's okay if you have more of. Especially the bread. The bread might keep for another few days. the cheese can be refrigerated and that will keep for quite a while. But one thing that they cannot allow to run out of, but also to not waste, would be the bread, because that would be a waste of money. All right, we're done.